Guess who's back? Yes, I'm so sorry. I totally dropped off the map for the last few months, but surprise, surprise, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you probably don't know, but I am pregnant and my first trimester kicked my ass. And now I'm back. I'm not throwing up constantly, like just good stuff, good vibes. I did, however, watch this last season of Below Deck. I really just was either working my regular job or asleep for the last few months. So I do have a lot of thoughts that I'll unpack over the next couple weeks on the season that just wrapped of Below Deck, because I do have a lot of thoughts. Starting with the fact that before I get into Below Deck Med, I have to say I'm Team Barbie, and I don't care if that's an unpopular take. She is my girl. I just vibe with her so hard, and I think she is got that staying power that some of the greats do on Below Deck. So fingers crossed we may see her again. I just thought she was the only one that I saw on the season that I was like, she's good television. So that's my hot take for that season. Now let's get into the good stuff. Tonight is the premiere of Below Deck Med, and I know what you're thinking. This should have been the time to premiere Below Deck Sailing Yacht. It always happens in the spring like this so far, and this was really a curveball for everyone involved, including the cast. They thought this was their time too, but I think we all know at this point that something squirrely is going on with Below Deck Sailing Yacht, and it's likely having to do with Gary. My guess, and I don't have any context on this whatsoever, so take this with a grain of salt, but I do think that if there's any pending litigation, any legal things, and I do believe that there are some pending legal things, the law system just moves really, really slow. And I do think, even within Bravo and NBC, they're probably doing their due diligence, which just takes a long time to figure out. So they may either be waiting to launch that season until they get the all clear with Gary, or waiting because they may need to edit him out. And they have done this before. They did it with Pete, and they'll do it again. If you go back and watch the season that Pete was in, you see him pop up here and there, to hand somebody a plate or go run an errand with someone, but they cut out all conversations with him. I mean, he's literally just someone else in a polo that's standing next to the people having a conversation. So I've seen Bravo masterfully be able to crop someone out who was key to the storyline. And if you had ever watched Pete on his season, you'll know for a fact that he was awful and he was a main part of the storyline. Malia was in charge of all the guys. Pete was a misogynist. He was extremely sexist. He really wanted to prove himself, and man, he was pissing off everyone along that whole season. And you know what? They masterfully edited him out. And to be honest, they could do the same with Gary. And I know a lot of people in the comments section are like, no, Gary's like crucial to it. No, not really. I mean, really until Gary and Below Deck Sailing Yacht, with the engineers, never once have we seen the chief engineers on the boat. We've even seen people like Luca on Below Deck Down Under and Med who are engineers, and they still don't fulfill that role as a cast member on the crew. So I think what we're going to see is a really strong start to a new season of Below Deck Med. I'm very excited. I know a couple people that were guests on this season, and I just think this is going to be good. So I'm going to walk you through the cast and crew real quick and give you a feel for what to expect this season on Below Deck Med. First up, lover or hater, it is Captain Sandy. She is here to stay. I'm very excited about this because Chief Stew returning is Aesha Scott, spoiler alert. And Aesha's been on Below Deck Down Under for a while, and this was a big year for Sandy and a really good year of happiness and wholeness. Sandy gets engaged on this upcoming season, so we're going to get to see her and Leah and her proposal, which looks really romantic. The whole crew was involved in it, so I think this is going to be really fun for us to watch. and I really think it's going to be really heartwarming. I believe they just got married officially in May of this year. So yeah, we're just going to see a lovey-dovey side of Sandy for this season, and that just brings my heart so much joy, especially on this lovely Pride Month. So I am excited to see this side of Sandy. I think it's going to pull out a different side of her. And I also think Aesha is going to pull out a different side of her, because Aesha is so funny and personable. You can't help but love her. And she's also really freaking good at her job. Also, let's just talk about it. Aesha is the sweetheart of Bravo right now. Sandy's not dumb. Sandy's very smart. Sandy knows. So if Bravo is giving Aesha over to Sandy, it's a pretty good indicator that they are trying to figure out a duo that works. There's no surprise if you've been following my channel for a while that I've talked about all the rumors around Below Deck Down Under and likely getting rid of Below Deck Down Under, which may seem crazy to you guys, but ultimately it's been known that Below Deck Down Under was extremely expensive to produce, and it really comes down to, is the return worth how much they're putting into shooting out there? They're in different countries. When we see Real Housewives, they may go on one trip outside the country and then they come right back, after one episode. These are consistent things where the whole film crew is based there for a few months. It's a very expensive process to shoot this show. They're in luxury places across the world, and yeah, I think that's just kind of Bravo figuring out how do we get Aesha back on people's screens at the same time as how do we figure out what to do about Below Deck Down Under in the meantime, because I don't think even Captain Jason has spoken out that they don't really know anything about what's going on. I can tell you that the Below Deck Sailing Yacht cast, they do not know what's going on. So if you think there's like this big master plan, I don't think there is, unless it's happening at NBC Universal. So that's what we know about what seasons and why that's changing around. But we are excited to see Sandy and Aesha. They have a really good banter and a good relationship. And yeah, I'm gonna be open arms about it. I think Captain Sandy gets way more grief, and I don't think it's fair. I think she's a tough captain, and she expects a lot from people. And when people meet the same standards that she holds herself and her crew to, they usually don't have any issues. So I have no doubt that Aesha will be a strong lead on Med. And, this is where Aesha started, with seasons 4 and 5 on Below Deck Med. So she's no stranger to this part of the world and this part of luxury yachting. So I'm excited about it. We've got a lot of new faces, but I have heard that this crew is rowdy and so fun. So I am really excited to hear about it. I don't have any news about any beef, so I really think if they do have drama between them or any hatred, that they really kept it under lock and key. So love that for us. Love a surprise. We do have quite the United Nations going on in this crew. So we have Sandy, she's from the US. We know she's from Fort Lauderdale. She's lived in Colorado. And we've got Aesha, she's from New Zealand. We have our chef, Jonathan Shillingford. He's from Dominica. I do think he's had about 7 years of experience as a yacht chef. So he's going to come in with a lot of energy and a lot of attitude. I would say out of all the new yachties coming in this season, he's going to be your number one. Like, you want to follow him on social media. Like, him and his partner and all his fun and friends, he is so funny. You will find him twerking in the kitchen often, and I just like that kind of energy he's bringing to it. So I love that. We need a little energy and a little bit of twerking in the galley. I think that's great. So I'm excited to see him on the show. He's going to bring a lot of spice. Next up is Ian, and he is from Cape Town, South Africa. So everybody loves a good South African accent. Like I said, we are getting the United Nations. We are getting someone from every typical yachting country, and this is going to be really fun. He's the bosun. He's been around for 5 years, so he's not as experienced as, a couple other of the senior members on this crew, but yeah, he's a typical bosun. He has a long hair flow. We haven't seen much of him in the initial trailer and everything like that. So I'm excited to see his personality kind of come out on the show. And I'm hoping that it's just a coincidence we haven't seen much of him, because I think I can speak for all Below Deck fans, but I'm like, can we just get from one side of the season to another side of the season without like 5 people getting fired and rehired? I mean, it's really hard to keep up with. It really is. So I'm hoping that it's just a fluke and that he's just a good, steady bosun. And we'll see how he works well with Sandy, because we know for most of the bosuns that we see outside of Malia, they can often struggle with her. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Next up is Joe Bradley, which may sound like, hey, wait a minute, isn't he in Charleston? No, Joe Bradley is now the second Joe Bradley in the Bravo universe, and this one hails from Spain. So as our Spanish Joe Bradley joins the team, he's already had a lot of good banter back and forth with his counterpart from Southern Hospitality, and he looks like he is one big party. So I think he is going to be the life of the party this season. He is always traveling, always partying somewhere, always taking his thirst traps on social. So he's a good follow as well. I do think, again, we know we're going to see some love interests this season, and he's going to be at the center of several of them. Next up is Nathan. He's from Ireland. He's pretty green, but we'll see how he does this season. Again, there's going to be a lot of cute people on the boat this season. He's in the middle of it. Everybody's in the middle of it. So there's just a very pretty crew happening this season, and I think you're going to see a lot of different flirtation and a lot of different situationships popping up. Next up is Gail. It's either Gail or Gael. I'm not sure. I never know how they pronounce it because they don't tell me until this show airs. But she's coming from Sydney, Australia. Not only is she stunning, beautiful, which we know that means she's going to be in the center of a lot of drama because all the boys are going to be going after her. So that'll be fun. But she has a fantastic accent. So yeah, she's kind of green as well as a stew, but we're excited to see her on the show, and that's all I know about her. And lastly, we have Elena, who is from Slovenia. Now, we've seen her before because she came in at the very, very end of season 7 of Below Deck Med to fill in when someone was fired. So I do think she's going to be a semi-familiar face, but she wasn't there for that long last time. She does seem to be like she is in the center of all arguments, drama, workplace issues. What I know about her is that I thought that she was going down the path of like Instagram model / OnlyFans type chick, and she seems to still be doing that. So if that's your thing, like, she's a good Instagram follow for you. But that's all I know of her so far. It seems like she has a really good rapport with Aesha, but we'll see. Our final yachty of the season, and we see a lot of her in the trailer for this season, is Bree. She's from South Africa. Like I said, we have a very diverse group of crew this year. I mean, they're from every corner of the world. So that's going to be fun. A lot of good accents, which, you know, Below Deck fans love. Bree seems to be in the middle of the drama. I think she's going to be that person who kind of struggles in that third stew spot to keep up with everyone else. She definitely has some issues with Elena, and we'll see how that goes. Doesn't look like it's going to go well for her this season, but hopefully she sticks around. That's what we know about the new crew. So I'll go live later tonight after the show, and we'll talk about the premiere together. Like I said, I'm back on the grid. I'm ready to talk about last season. I'm ready to talk about this season. And I'm ready to talk about everything in between because a lot has happened in the Bravoverse since I tuned out last time. So yeah, let me know what you're excited about, who you're excited to see on this season. No doubt you're all going to say Aesha, but let me know in the comments below. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.